I'm Denise.
I'm Katie.
I've been friends with Katie for over 20 years.
I cannot believe it's been 20 years.
This is
88 Chat,
where we talk about a really random program. Advisory, disclaimer, this is just our opinion. Please don't take it as fact. Don't send hate to anybody. We want to love everybody. All right. So today we're talking about the royal family of England. There is a rift between William and Harry right now because of how he's speaking up against the royal family. If it wasn't him, imagine somebody else would down the line. Eventually it will come out. Things don't stay hidden for long. They never do. I'm on team Harry and Meghan all the way. I support them living their life. Do you know how far they've gone to protect their children's images, where nobody sees a picture of their faces? That's the other thing why they went to America, is just to have that where his children wouldn't be put through that, what he was put through.
He probably had a very unique experience of watching her be forced to learn all these very specific royal rules that he grew up with. When it's happening to yourself, you don't think about whether it's right or wrong. It's just your life. But watching somebody else experience it and go through it gives you that opportunity to say, do I like this? And it probably would have clicked for him, like, do I really want that for my kids too? And I'm sure that was very eye-opening for him to be like, I don't really want that for my kids.
My sense is I don't get why people keep on blaming Meghan for everything. They said they stepped down, not away, step down. There's different types of royals. The ones who don't really do anything until they're called upon. That's the type of royals they want to be. They still want to do all the charity work. They just don't want to do as much because they want to focus on their family. It's not an easy life. It's hard. Every single thing you do is scrutinized. You don't have any control over your life. If this was the only way they could take control, then I'm for it for them. To say this is all Meghan's fault. Harry was never for that life. He never wanted it.
When he was a teenager, he was constantly acting out against it. And people just ate it up as a culture like it was a good thing. But if you take a step back, that is sending a message of, I don't want to be in this position. In a way, it's a consistent message from childhood to now of him saying, I don't want that life.
She more than likely said, whatever you decide, I'll support you. Your definition of private life and their definition of private is completely different, because he's a prince and he gets scrutinized by the media all the time. He knows that he will never be able to get away with it. There's no way for that to happen. What they want to get a handle on is to be able to do their own thing. He went on the James Corden show, and I think he felt more free to do and say what he wanted. I think he feels more relaxed. He still has stress, like, how am I going to support my family? And that's the reason why he is doing all these social media movies and stuff, is to support his family. He needs security for his family. He is a royal. And there is a people who will attack him. During the Oprah interview, he said he feels like his brother and father are trapped in some way. And they say they're not, but they are.
That's just severe denial. The Queen's sister didn't get to marry the man that she was in love with because he was divorced. The Queen said no. So the rest of her life was impacted. And then with Charles, he wanted to be with Camilla. She was divorced. He couldn't be with her. We've all seen how that played out. That in itself is an amount of being trapped. They kept saying things like, we don't talk about what the media says. We don't respond. We don't do this. We don't do that. And then months and months and months of that happening to them. As soon as they leave, and suddenly William gets to speak out and respond to what they're saying, I thought we didn't respond to things. But he gets to, because he's first in line. He's the golden child, the one who's important.
And they keep on calling him the spare. The heir and the spare. You know how damaging that is to a child to hear? He's not just a spare. He's a person. He's a brother. He's a son. He's a person, first and foremost.
He said on interviews about how he's been going to therapy. Then the royal family responds. And it didn't happen like that. It wasn't. No, you don't get to police somebody else's traumas. It might not have been significant to you as the traumatizer or a bystander, but if it was traumatic for him, that's valid. If he has to unpack that in therapy, that's valid. That's a good thing. And it's so unhealthy to gaslight somebody else's experiences and tell them it didn't happen that way. That's not helping anyone. So to hear his own brother and father and the rest of his family basically saying, your childhood wasn't that bad. What are you complaining about? Get over it. What is the benefit of shutting somebody up? If you love them so much and you care about them so much, that's not going to help someone want to keep loving you.
The opposite can be said for her family. They can't shut up. I think they both had trauma with their families. Both families are kind of horrible in their own way. Her dad, her half brother, half sister are selling her out in the media, making her look horrible. And then he's like, I'm going to sue for grandparents' rights. Can't sue for grandparents' rights if you've never seen them. Why would she give you the chance to speak to her child after what you did to her? Why would anyone believe you? Nobody trusts you anymore because you sold out your daughter. And then the whole, like, the race thing.
It came out in one of Harry and Meghan's interviews with Oprah that someone in the royal family had made remarks about what Archie's skin color would be when he was born, and implied that they took issue with the potential that his skin color would be considered, quote, too dark.
The person that said that didn't say it to her or to her face, but it was said to Harry. She made that very clear. Her information is coming from Prince Harry. I'm pretty sure he never thought that someone in the royal family would say that to him about his wife. And I'm pretty sure it was a shock to him because he's a white male and he's rich. And he's a prince, dad on top of that. He has extreme white privilege, so he wouldn't be experienced these conversations. I'm pretty sure he didn't want to hide it from his wife because more than likely she could tell that he was pissed off when something was said. What can he do? He can't really do anything besides speak up about it because, hey, there are some racist people in the royal family. But that isn't surprising because there's racist people everywhere.
I do think it's asinine that people act shocked that any of the royal family could possibly be racist. That's pretty much what their empire was based on. They conquered other places, other races, other cultures, and made them part of their monarchy. The Queen herself was active duty military in World War II as a driver. In World War II, there were Black service members, and they were experiencing racism in the middle of that. So the Queen was an adult at the time that this racism was actively happening in her world. Not that she's actively racist, those little biases still get passed down, and it gives excuses to the racism.
It's been there, it's just no one's talked about it. And if no one talks about it, then pretend like you don't see it.
There was a story in 2017 when there was a Christmas lunch, and Princess Michael of Kent, who is the wife of the Queen's cousin, was seen wearing a racially offensive brooch to this Christmas dinner that Meghan was at. She was wearing what's called a blackamoor brooch, and it's considered a type of jewelry that fetishized being exotic. Shortly after this negative story, she made an apology. It says, a spokesman said the princess, quote, is very sorry and distressed that it has caused offense, unquote. Saying, oh, I'm sorry if you didn't like it is not an apology for racist behavior. But that seems to be the modus operandi of the royal family, is if and when they make apologies, they're non-apologies. If you're doing something bad, the excuse can't be, well, this is the way we've always done it. It's still bad.
They didn't say it didn't happen. They said, like, oh, they just misconstrued it, or they took it the wrong way. How are they supposed to take it? There is no way.
And it's extreme victim blaming to gaslight someone who is in that position of experiencing injustices and racism.
It's great for them for not saying who said it, But at the exact same time, they're like, we don't forgive you. We're going to air this out a little bit because it needs to be addressed. The mental health thing needs to be addressed too. The queen is a great grandmother to the children and videos times them. She understands what's going on and knows what the reasoning behind what they do, because they did talk to her before the interview and before they left. I don't ever see him not talking to his grandmother. I think there is a very deep respect.
She's been in that life long enough to understand that it's not personal, it's business, and she's able to keep those worlds a little bit separate, where the rest of the family members take it all much more personally.
I think that's one of the best things for him was the fact that him and the queen's relationship remained intact even after all this happened. They're still a very strong relationship. Like I said, like I'm team Harry and Meghan, just because I understand how difficult it is to understand a different person's perspective, and when you're put in a different position than what you're used to or what other people around you are used to, it does come off as a shock. And sometimes it takes time for them to realize what that point of view is and to understand your reasoning. And plus, as we all know, family can be tricky. Your family may be against you, but the only thing that matters is you and your partner. And that's what it comes down to. So let's end it here for this one.
Thanks for watching this episode of
88 Chats.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.